Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Good morning sa lahat ng mga ka-brunch natin ngayon. Joining us live via Facebook, YouTube, and of course, Signal TV.
Thursday na.
Oo, it's a Thursday episode of Brunch. One more day po. Weekend na.
Pero kagabi, grabe yung ulan. Kahapon. May mga
Some parts of the metro daw nagbaha. Caloocan, dito sa may Pasig, meron din daw.
Mamaya, pag-usapan natin yan.
Alright, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Let's start off our countdown with the PBA Finals. For sure, maganda ang gising ng Meralco Bolts fans dyan after the team won Game 1 of the Philippine Cup Finals. The Bolts stunned San Miguel Beermen last night 93-86. Chris Newsom and Chris Banquero electrified the Bolts by contributing 18 points to their victory. San Miguel will attempt to equalize a best-of-7 series tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. You can also watch the game on RPTV and PBA Rush on Signal TV and on Pilipinas Live app. Yan, congrats sa Team Meralco. Bold, syempre, alam naman natin lahat, medyo naka-underdog status ang Meralco dahil powerhouse ang Beermen. Defending champs yan. Tapos yung isa sa mga reigning MVPs nila, si Junmar Fajardo.
Si Junmar, oo. Kahapon marami din pa rin naman daw siyang ginawa, pero medyo nahirapan din. Diba? Saan ko napanood yan? Sports pa rin tayo. Dahil Alas Pilipinas secures a breakthrough victory at the 2024 AVC Challenge Cup for Men. Team Philippines defeated Indonesia in the classification round of the tournament in Bahrain on Wednesday. This is the first win of Alas after losing to China and Bahrain. The Philippines now advances to its last classification match for 9th place on June 7. Alas is set to take on the winner between Thailand and Chinese Taipei. All right, let's continue with our countdown. Feel the love at the 9th spot. 100 couples tied the knot and exchanged vows in yesterday's Kasalang Bayan in Bacoor City, Cavite. Mobile journalist Evan Tarinque with the report.
You could feel the love floating in the air in the city of Bacoor in Cavite yesterday during their Kasalang Bayan. 100 couples tied the knot and exchanged their sweet and thoughtful vows. It was even more romantic as a violinist played songs that truly touched the heart while they walked down the aisle. Some couples walked down the aisle as a whole family with their children. How romantic! Bacoor officials, Mayor Strike Revilla, Vice Mayor Rowena Mendiola, and Congresswoman Lani Revilla also joined the sacred ceremony.
Matinding commitment po ito. Walang expiration po ang kasal.
All types of couples had a chance to tie the knot. Even senior citizens and PWDs got to say their sweet I do's. It was also a star-studded Kasalang Bayan with personalities like Julius Babaw and his wife Tin, Diego and Angel Castro, and JC De Vera and his wife Rica Cruz joining the solemn event. MWell CEO Che Cabal Revilla also joined the blissful event, as MWell provided the couples with their MWell rings, which also serve as health monitors for the couples to check their important health metrics. As for the couples getting married, it also symbolizes their undying love for each other.
Tandaan niyo po, in wellness and in health, do us part.
Jonalyn Viray, Dennis Trillo, and Congresswoman Lani Revilla also performed a few songs dedicated to the newlyweds. And of course, the moment everyone was waiting for. You may now kiss the bride.
Kaya naman po, ito yung ating, syempre, bilang sa first legal kiss. Groom, you may... Yeah.
100 couples have been married, 100 newlyweds that will enjoy the ups and downs of married life. Mobile Journal Ivan Tarinque, we are One News.
Yeah, we were there.
Congratulations.
Oo. Pero officially, 100 na nag-register to get married.
Yes.
Only 98 were able to make it sa ceremony daw because...
May nag-back out na dalawang
Hindi naman
couple.
back out, pero parang may emergency na nangyari. Pero itutuloy daw sa next Kasalang Bayan. Pero ang saya-saya ng event, ang very positive yung atmosphere. And of course, MWell provided yung rings sila, di ba? We also got ours.
Oo nga, ay,
yan.
hindi ko nasuot.
Yan,
Oo.
Health
Pero
monitor.
in wellness and in health, di ba? Yun ang sinabi doon. Nakakatuwa dahil nga, aside from that, yung rings were given by MWell, and then, of course, yung mga papeles na pang-asikaso
Yes,
kapag
oo.
ikakasal, di ba, ay na-provide na rin dito sa Kasalang Bayan na to na ginawa.
Yeah, of course. Si Sir Anthony Pangilinan was there, gave a very good, wonderful speech about married life, di ba? Oo, di ba?
Yun. So, congratulations
Congrats
dun sa mga
all 98
newlyweds.
couples and newlyweds.
Oo.
Day 1 ba ng honeymoon ngayon? 98 people are in honeymoon.
Ang saya.
Saya.
Oh, thanks again sa MWell. Yan.
Okay, let's move on to our next. Sizzling on our 8th spot, several parts of Metro Manila experienced a sudden downpour on Wednesday. Gutter deep floods were seen in some areas which made traffic worse. Some children, meanwhile, enjoyed playing in flood waters. Recall that President Bongbong Marcos has ordered LGUs in Metro Manila to prepare for La Nina, where rains and flooding are more frequent. So when we were in the, diba, Kasalang Bayan?
Sa Cavite, malakas din ang ulan. And then we've seen a lot of streets nga, mga messages din, mga personal messages.
Nagulat ako na nagbabaha pala.
Baha levels, di ba? Oo. Alright, let's take a quick update on on today's weather. We have Pag-asa weather forecaster Lori De La Cruz joining us on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am, and to all our viewers and listeners. Southwest monsoon continues to affect the western sections of Luzon and Visayas. And it's causing cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms over the whole Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Zambales, Bataan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bulacan, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. So that is again due to southwest monsoon o habagat. And then the rest of the country, they will experience generally fair weather apart from localized thunderstorms due to mga localized rain showers in the afternoon or evening. So for now, we're not monitoring any low pressure area or tropical cyclone inside the Philippine area of responsibility, and we don't have gale warning raised over any parts of our seaboards in our archipelago. That's the latest from Pag-asa. This is Lori De La Cruz po.
Yes, Lori, I'd like to ask lang itong mga nararanasan ng pag-ulan these last few days. Tuloy-tuloy na ba ito? Consistent na ba ang ganito mangyari every day?
As of now po, tinatawag po natin itong weak monsoon, weak southwest monsoon. Ibig sabihin, yung kanyang effect is hindi pa talaga natin mararamdaman yung full impact niya or full potential ng rainfall. So nag-i-start pa lang o nagsisimula pa lang yung tag-ulan natin. So may mga days talaga na we will be experiencing monsoon breaks or may mga paghina or paghinto sa pag-ulan. But of course, dahil nga nasa tag-ulan season tayo, asahan natin, kung hindi man maghapon, any time of the day pwedeng magkaroon ng mga pagbuhos or rain showers.
Lori, sabi mo hindi pa natin nararanasan ng full effect. So ito mga pagbaha natin, this is hindi pa ito yung tinatawag mong full effect. So we have to be prepared.
Yes po, ang kasagsagan talaga ng ulan or tag-ulan sa atin due to habagat, especially the western section of the country, is from July to August.
Pero may mga areas pa rin po tayo na naitatala na nakapagtatala ng mataas na heat index. No? So wondering po kung malakas pa rin po ba yung presensya ng El Nino sa atin?
Okay, yung El Nino po natin, nasa weakening stage na po siya or weakening phase, patapos na po ito. Papunta na tayo sa neutral phase. However, dahil nga po mataas pa rin yung temperature na natatala, at nagkakataon na since madalas yung mga pag-ulan, especially in the afternoon, yung relative humidity natin o yung parang moisture content ng atmosphere ay mataas din. So, perfect combination po ito para makapag-generate ng mataas na heat index, yung mataas na temperature at mataas na relative humidity. Kaya may times po kahit na kunyari 30 minutes or 1 hour prior sa rainfall ay mainit at malinsangan kasi nga po yun yung dahilan, may mataas na temperature at mataas na moisture content. And then after that, pag nabuhos na, minsan kapag 30 minutes lang nabuhos, minsan mas mainit pa after yung mararamdaman natin.
Oo, totoo yan.
Mas
Yung singaw
malinsangan pa.
no?
Singaw, yes po. Opo.
Pero wala naman po tayong binabantayan na mga weather systems po outside our Philippine area of responsibility.
For now, yung may potential na makaka-apekto sa atin, wala po so far.
Alright.
Okay. And then lastly, Lori, so yung weekend mukhang clear. Sabi mo, generally fair weather. So is it safe to say, mga gusto mag-out of town, pwede mag-out of town?
The western section of Luzon, we can still experience rainfall po or mga rain showers, especially in the afternoon or evening, dahil active pa rin yung habagat. Although weak lang siya, ibig sabihin, yung mga rain showers possible pa rin. So, hindi talaga siya yung good weather. Pero yung eastern part siguro ng bansa, yun po siguro yung medyo mainit pa rin over the weekend.
Alright, thank you for joining us, Pag-asa Weather Forecaster Lori De La Cruz.
Ayun naman pala.
Fair weather, but be prepared kasi may mga parts or times na mag-uulan daw talaga.
Exactly. Alright, coming up, House lawmakers are probing into the alleged extrajudicial killings during the Duterte administration. Is this related to the International Criminal Court's investigation of the War on Drugs campaign?
And how is the U.S. Coast Guard going to help us amid the ongoing tension in the West Philippine Sea?
Mga kapatid, we are just getting started. More of our top 10 news when brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. May babadiin ka ba dyan?
Yeah, good morning kay Gary Field and happy Thursday daw. Galing daw kasala ng bayan. Okay daw. And sa Pokemon Go. Ayun, sumisipa pa daw ang init, sabi niya.
Oo, mainit Tapos bigla na lang uulan sa hapon. Tapos yun nga, tulad ng sinabi ng weather forecaster kanina, sumisingaw di ba kaya mainit? Okay, sige, let's continue with our countdown for today. Going straight to our top 7, the country's rise inflation rate slowed down between April and May this year. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA, from 23.9% in April, in decline to 23% in May. In terms of market price, the Agriculture Department says regular milled rice was priced around 45 to 52 pesos a kilo in May. When June came in, it went down to up to 50 pesos a kilo. The PSA is expecting a further drop in prices with the tariff reduction approved by President Bongbong Marcos. Yun, di ba, pag-uusapan nga yung pagbaba ng tariff from 35% to 15% yung tariff ng imported goods, which is ibang mga organizations like Federation of Free Farmers and Ibon Foundation have already said na yun nga, hindi sila pabor dito sa pag-aproba ng pagbaba ng taripa sa imported na rice.
Yes,
because ang importante, lagi nilang sinasabi, importante pa rin sa kanila, boost the local production.
Kasi this is not an organic stimulus to lower prices. Because kung magtaas ang countries that export rice to us ng presyo, kahit nagbaba pa tayo ng tariff rates, di umangat ang presyo nila. Ganun din, the price may offset in the near future. What we need nga, what you're saying,
kita diba?
What you're saying is boost production because yung rule of thumb naman sa marketing, diba? More production than demand, then diba, the prices can be manipulated a little, pwedeng babaan. Pero kung masyadong mataas ang demand, tas kulang ang local production mo, kaya nagmamahal ang local price na
importers
price natin.
lang daw ang
So,
matutuwa
importante
dito,
dyan to modernize rice production in the country para mas efficient, mas cheaper, and sooner or later mabawasan ng middleman.
Para rin yan sa mga farmers natin na hirap ngayon, diba? Tapos tanggalan niyo pa sila ng opportunity to earn. Although sabi nga ng government, they'll provide daw for domestic production via subsidies and other programs. But still, yun nga, ang ano pa rin yan, yung tulad ng nababanggit nga natin over and over again dito, to boost the local production. Mas maigi, mas mainam na ganun.
Make it more efficient para cheaper.
Pero tingnan natin, no? Kapag nagpatupad na ito, pag naipalabas ng executive order, tingnan natin. Pero kasi may ibang mga grupo, like if I'm not mistaken, Federation of Free Farmers, parang they're going to go to court to file a TRO para hindi daw, yun nga, temporary restraining order para hindi mapatupad itong pagbaba ng tariff sa imported rice pagka naipalabas ng EU. But
alam naman natin, ang prayers for TRO, medyo matagal bago ma-issue yan. Anyway, let's move on to the next. Now, ranking 6 today in our countdown is about Canlaon volcano eruption. The town of La Castellana in Negros Occidental declared a state of calamity after their roads were hit with lahar flow. Several roads in the town became gray and muddy after the lahar flow. They are currently not passable for vehicles. La Castellana Mayor Alme Manglimutan already ordered forced evacuation of residents in anticipation of more lahar flow. A total of 232 families in the town are currently staying in evacuation centers. Ang magiging magiging issue pa daw dito is because ang lahar pag lumalamig tumitigas. So kunyari dumaan sa road siya nag-elevate, 'di ba? Hindi pumapantay. So bago daw tumigas, sabi ng mayor, kailangan ma-clear up na yung lahar flow. 'Di ba nangyari sa Pampanga? Because of the lahar flow, nag-iba yung daanan, yung mga roads, yung highways sila, nag-iba yung level. They had to build another road on top of the lahar. Tumigas na yung yung area.
No, kawawa naman yung mga residente dyan. Pag nakikita natin sa mga balita na talagang ang pakapal yung lahar dahil nga dun sa binugan ng Mount Canlaon. But hopefully, pero they're not still, ang tawag, doon di pa rin nila tinatanggal sa alert level 2 dahil nga they're still monitoring. Baka kasi may mga iba pang mga volcanic activities that would trigger yung another eruption. Pero once na maging okay, mag-stabilize nga daw ito, pwede naman nila ibaba. Pero hopefully nga hindi na itaas sa alert level, hindi na umabot sa alert level 3.
Although pag humupa na daw yung baha, ang titignan nila is yung heat, yung magiging heat index. Kasi kung masyadong mainit nga, mabilis ang pagluto ng lahar, mabilis tumigas, mahirap na tanggalin. So sabi ng mayor, as much as possible, yung pag naghupa na yung baha at lahat, kaagad, ang immediate swift reaction daw ang paglinis ng daan.
Oo. Nakikita ko nga dun sa mga evacuation centers, yung mga evacuated families, affected families, dahil nga dito sa pagsabog ng Mount Canlaon, yung mga sumakit yung mata nila, di ba naglalagay sila ng drops dahil nga din sa ashfall na ibinubuga nga nitong Mount Canlaon, and other things na ginagawa nila sa evacuation center right now. And hopefully nga, sabi nila, yung iba gusto na bumalik sa kanilang bahay, and matindi din yung bantay dun sa area sa 4 kilometers permanent danger zone na walang makakapunta doon, 'di ba? Para makaiwas sa mga aksidente doon sa area. But hopefully we can talk to somebody there para mas mabigyan tayo ng update as to what is going on there, 'di ba? Pero kasi nga under state of calamity ngayon ang Negros.
Uso ngayon daw dapat ngayon ang face mask sa area na yan
Yes.
Kasi sulfur acid ang binubugan yan We all know na sometimes they make that into soap pero may process na dinadaanan
Yes,
yun.
hindi diretso.
But hindi yung mga ibang tao, ilalagay mo sa mukha, wag. Kasi
wag.
Yung taal, alam ko, nagjo-joke ka ng mga tao, meron tayong sabon, di ba? May sabon na tayo sa mga kotse. Hindi po. May process pong pinagdadaanan yan. Anyway, Canlaon City has also declared a state of calamity after the eruption of Canlaon volcano.
Yeah, as we said. And to give us an update of their situation there, we have Canlaon City Health Officer Dr. Elmer Empiales. Yan. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Doc. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Your family name?
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Especially po sa inyo, ma'am, sir.
Opo. Siyempre, kumustahin po namin, Doc, ang kalusugan ng mga residente dyan matapos nga po itong nangyaring eruption ng Mount Canlaon. At ano po yung mga common sickness na nakikita po natin among the residents na affected po dyan sa lugar?
Sa ngayon po, wala naman po masyadong, hindi naman po masyadong tumaas yung mga respiratory tract problem, no? Yung respiratory na illnesses. But yung usual na naman po na expected kasi medyo nag-change from dry to cold, wet season na naman po tayo. Kaya may mga
Totoo.
ubusi po naman po sa mga bata at saka sa mga elderly. Pero sa CAP po natin, yung nakita natin is yung brought about by the evacuation, no? Yung may mga na sugatan or may mga abrasions, ganyan po. Yun yung tinitreat po natin. And then, meron po mga hypertension, ganyan po. So, yung as expected po dahil sa evacuation, yun naman po ang nakita natin. Pero regarding the spike or the increase in respiratory problem, hindi naman po.
Okay, Doc, syempre, do we have enough medical supplies para sa mga residente dyan? Ano ba mga pangkaraniwan na kailangan padagdagan? And since may pagsabog ng bulkan yung amoy niya, kailangan ba ng face mask, Doc? May mga supply ba?
Yes po, yes po. Gaya ng sinabi ko po yesterday, priority po yung N95 mask kasi po ang readily available dito sa amin na stock.
Nawalan ng
Surgical mask, no? Dahil pa rin doon sa nangyari na COVID, may mga natitira-tira pa. So yung N95, kokonti lang, and then yung mga affected na communities natin, yung barangays natin, 5, and ang estimated population doon is mga 20,000. So may mga nag-pledge naman po na magbigay, but yan po ang kulang sa atin ngayon, no? N95 mask. Yun po.
Yun, oo. I hope yun po, narinig na yung sinabi ni Doc Empiales sa kulang ng N95 mask. At aside po dito sa mga pagkain at medicine, ano pa po ba yung kailangan ng ating residente dyan sa ngayon?
Sa ngayon po yung mga sleeping bags or sleeping kits, medicine din, and then siguro mga hygiene kits at saka jerry cans. Although may mga purchases naman po kami, pero yung isang barangay po namin na malapit dun sa occidental side, apektado na po yung tubig, kaya isa po yun binibigyan namin ng solusyon talaga is pagbibigay ng safe water doon sa mga residents.
Ayun, gusto ko rin tanong about that, Doc. 2 questions. Yung una yung about yung water. Kamusta na po yung water supply natin dyan? Is it safe to drink from the tap? Or kailangan na talaga, as you said, na magpadala ng clean supply? Number 2, kung tumagal po itong eruption, ano po ang preparation natin?
Yung nga po, ang ginawa po natin dahil may report na may contamination doon sa water, so nag-warn po tayo doon sa ating mga residente na not to drink muna, no, yung sa tubig natin doon, then magsusupply tayo po. Kaya yung fire truck natin, yung mobile na water filtration system natin, pinadala po natin kahapon, no? Starting kahapon kasi may report daw kahapon na medyo may amoy na supre yung mga tubig na nainom nila. Kaya sinusolusyonan po natin ang mga problem po natin doon sa ground.
We've seen several reports po, Doc, no? Yung mga ilang residente dyan, yung mga nananakit yung mga mata nila dahil nga doon po sa abo, no, o usok na nilalabas dyan sa Mount Canlaon. At may mga nilalagay po pa sa mga mata nila. Ngayon po ba, ganun pa rin po ang sitwasyon doon? Sa inyo dyan?
Sa ngayon po, bale ang nangyari ngayon is hindi mo makita masyado yung Mount Canlaon, no? Yung talaga kasi may makapal na haze, no? So expected po natin na medyo ang hangin is affected, kaya yun po ang binibigay natin na health advisory na kung pwede, no, mag-mask tayo so that hindi po tayo magkaroon ng respiratory problem po. Yun po.
Meron din pong advice, Doc, na magbasa ng bimpo o towel.
Yes po, ginawa po natin yan, no, since day 1. Actually, no, yung if ever na wala silang N95 mask, kumbaga yung improvise lang is yung mga handkerchief, pwede po nabasain. And then kung pwede po, kung may mga goggles na to protect their eyes if mag-travel sila, Yun po, and then in-advise po rin natin na yung hindi kailangan lumabas ng bahay, dyan muna po sa bahay, especially yung mga
Nawawala si Doc. Oo,
signal
mahirap
na
din
yung
kasi ang
yeah.
signal doon dahil nga dito sa situation nila. Andyan na. Go ahead, Doc. Continue po.
Ayun na nga po, in-advise po natin yung residents natin na yung basahin yung handkerchief so that to protect their breathing, no? At saka hindi sila ma-injure yung lung nila or magkaroon ng respiratory problem. And siyempre, yung palalabisin muna or kung yung mga essential lang, no? Yung mga kabataan, women na lactating or pregnant, and yung mga may mga immunocompromised kasi para to keep them safe, no? From respiratory problem, doon na muna po sila sa bahay. And then, if ever may lalabas, kung meron po silang goggles, kung pwede, they should wear them or kung meron silang N95 mask po. So, to protect them from the inhalation injury or doon sa respiratory problem na brought about by the ash fall.
Right. Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa Caloocan City Health Officer Dr. Elmer Empiales.
Marami din po salamat po.
Alright, let's move forward to our next topic for today. Coming in at top 5, House lawmakers are investigating extrajudicial killings linked to the Duterte drug war. Marian Enriquez has the report.
While carrying a portrait of her son, Cristina Pascual emotionally told the House Committee on Human Rights the story of how her 17-year-old child was killed in 2018 during the height of the Duterte administration's drug war. Her son, Joshua Laksamana, was allegedly killed by policemen in Pangasinan after he resisted arrest, or in Filipino, nanlaban. But based on the autopsy conducted by forensic pathologist Dr. Raquel Fortun, Joshua suffered from a fracture and hemorrhage. It also appears that the victim was tortured before his death. His mother says the cases they filed to seek justice for Joshua have all been dismissed.
Supreme Court, pinakamalaki na po to. Lord, kako, sana kahit man lang dito, bigyan mo kaming pagkakataon. Hirap na rin po kami paanong lumaban. Pagdating po doon ilang araw, dismiss na naman po. Paano po kaming hihiling ng hustisya sa ICC?
According to the 2017 accomplishment report of the Duterte administration, over 20,000 deaths were recorded under the drug war from July 2016 to November 2017. Almost 4,000 were killed in police operations, and the rest were killed by riding in tandems or unknown hitmen. This report was presented in today's hearing by human rights lawyer Shal Jokno in a Supreme Court resolution. But former Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea says he never saw this report.
2017 po yun. Ngayon, nasa internet yan. So, sinasabi nyo, wala kayong alam dyan. So,
internet. Kasi ako
hindi po. Kaya, oh my God. So, ito 2017 po na report. Anytime pwede nyo pong makita. Kung nga nakita ko nga po wala kayong alam.
That was not part of my duties, and my territory's executive secretary was to give my report to the president, and from there on sa kanya na yan.
Ito pong mga report na po, I mean, Mr. Chair, dumadaan po yan sa executive secretary po. Kaya nga tinatanong namin sa inyo kung nakita niyo po ba yan. Kasi dadaan naman sa inyo mga report po ng presidente, di ba?
Wala na akong copy.
Okay. So kung wala, Mr. Chair, napasumpinan natin itong 2017 na report na ito.
It was also revealed in the hearing that based on data from the Duterte administration, over 6,000 have died during police anti-drug operations from 2016 to 2022. Human Rights Committee Chairman and Manila Representative Benny Abante appealed to families of supposed victims of extrajudicial killings to participate in the House probe instead of just holding rallies.
Yung rally nyo, walang pupuntahan yan. Nakita nyo, nagraya na kayo dati. May napuntahan ba?
Lawyers representing victims' families are also called to file a class suit. But in response, the National Union of People's Lawyers said,
bago po kami makarating ng korte, kailangan po ng investigasyon.
I do realize that.
Hindi po kami private investigator.
The House committee also clarified that their probe is independent from the International Criminal Court's own investigation into the Duterte drug war. But for one lawmaker,
the government can use the minutes of this hearing for the purpose of coordinating with the ICC if they want to coordinate. It is not for us to tell the executive department what to do.
the Marcos administration has reiterated multiple times in the past months that it will not cooperate with the ICC's probe, saying that it doesn't have any jurisdiction over the Philippines. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Yung sa na-mention na
yung
6,000 na napatay sa police operations, ang key statistic dyan is only around 400 lang ang tinitignan na kaso ng NBI at tinignan ng kaso NBI, and even less than that daw, less than 300, 200 ang na-file ng case, yung mga iba pa na-dismiss. So if you look at the ratio ng yung computation, yung percentage, medyo mababa ang percentage na kaso na umusad sa korte versus yung number na namatay. So with that, ang sabi ng ibang lawyer, maybe you could cite at that point in time, there was a failure of the justice system na hindi makausad ang investigation properly because there was a sitting president. Therefore, baka makalusot daw sa ICC in terms sa ibang lawmakers natin. Ang problema, sabi ni Rep. Dan Fernandez, hindi kami we're not going to reach out to the ICC to coordinate. But if they want to, they can use the minutes of the... So it's just simply
iba na yung tono kasi ngayon sa
parang
Congress.
You're opening yourself up. Go ahead. If you want the minutes, we'll give it to you.
Parang gano'n.
Parang gano'n na rin.
Oo. Pero kung mabasa mo yung libro ni Patricia Evangelista, Some People Need Killing.
Yeah.
Ito yung mga
a lot of the
accounts
stories
ng
na
mga
inano nila dito.
Tokhang.
Yeah.
Diba? Kasi yun yung nausong word nung panahon ni...
Tokhang, hanyo, hanyo?
Tokhang.
No, there's a whole word, Tokhang, hanyo, parang something like that, meaning to knock. Kakatok ka, di ba? Kakatok ka sa Davao. Kasi
so, ang isa sa pinaka high profile or sikat na case dyan sa Tokhang na yun, yung si Kian de los Santos, di ba? Na 17 years old na bata, na gagawa lang ng assignment, di ba? Na lumabas lang. Sabi niya, wag siyang patayin kasi, di ba, gagawa pa siya ng assignment, mga ganun. So, yan yung isa sa mga inimbestigahan outside na nadamay dito sa drug war, supposedly.
Yan. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to the next. Sizzling at the fourth spot is one of the biggest Pogo Hub raids yet. Authorities rescued over 150 foreigners and 36 Filipinos in a Pogo Hub in Porac, Pampanga. It took almost a day for authorities to raid the Pogo Hub in Lucky South 99 compound. It is 3 times bigger than the Pogo Hub in Bamban, Tarlac. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission said the rescued workers in the hub were allegedly kidnapped, tortured, and forced to work. Majority of these foreign workers are Chinese nationals. The agency is planning to file several cases against the people involved in the Pogo's illegal operation.
Pinag-aaralan pa namin yung ibang kaso, but definitely we'll be filing cases of human trafficking, physical injuries, and of course yung mga Chinese po na wala pong mga dokumento, they will be subjected to immigration laws. Kasi itong karamihan dito wala akong dalang passport.
Actually, kausap namin ni Manong Ted, yung spokesperson si Sir Winston Casio ng PAOK, diba? Tungkol nga dito sa raid. Apparently, hindi pa pala nila napapasok itong compound na ito dyan sa Porac, Pampanga. Kasi yung search warrant nila, wala pa silang search warrant approved by a judge, na deny actually yung kanilang hiling. So right now, ang pinaka-situation doon ngayon, nasa labas pa rin sila ng Pogo community na yun sa Porac, Pampanga. Yung mga na-rescue nila ay yung mga lumabas ng kusa doon sa community.
Kasi nakita nila may mga
Oo, may mga lumabas nga doon daw, nakaposas pa, bugbog sarado, ganun. So right now, nag-aantay sila, nag-file ulit sila ng sa korte, inaantay nila approval ng korte doon, hindi na nila sinabi kung saan, para nga mapasok na nila ng husto.
Kasi meron may justified cost na sila for a raid to be granted a warrant .
Wait, this is important kasi ang nakalagay sa mga newspaper right now, raided na 'di ba? Ito hindi pa pala sila nakakapasok.
So, okay. Nasa labas lang sila.
Nasa labas pa sila
malinaw
ngayon.
Na yun. Alright.
Alright, let's continue on with our topic for today. Coming in at top 3, over 30 Chinese were arrested during a raid in a multinational village in Parañaque on Wednesday. Immigration officials say they were allegedly involved in illegal retail operations. They are now detained at the BI's facility inside Camp Bagong Diwa in Bicutan, Taguig City. These illegal workers may be deported back to China. Barangay officials say they were surprised by the raid conducted by authorities.
Hindi sila nakipag-coordinate sa amin. But again, we consider that the need arises in the national level. So, should I say, okay naman kahit hindi sila nakipag-coordinate sa amin.
Let's talk more about that operation of immigration officials.
BI spokesperson Dana Sandoval is now on the line. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga po.
Maraming salamat po for joining us today. Siyempre po, ang unang katanungan ano pong klaseng illegal na operasyon ang pinatatakbo nga po dito sa na-raid dito sa may Parañaque?
Yes, the operation was conducted in June 4 and that we were able to arrest 37 Chinese nationals who are involved in retail. So, iba't iba po yung establishments na nakita doon sa area. There were restaurants, there were food retail, there were groceries, and nakita po itong mga Chinese nationals na to be working in those establishments.
Ayun, all of these po na huli, no, Spokes, are Chinese or may mga iba pong nationality tayong nakita doon?
Yes, all Chinese nationals po, 30 yung male at 7 po yung female doon sa mga arrested natin.
Ito,
sorry.
Sige, go ahead.
In relation kasi to that, paano po nakapasok sila dito? Did they go through with tourist visas or were they promised work tapos biglang na-kidnap? Ano po ang naging sitwasyon nila?
Yes, mga turista po, normally po pumapasok yan as with a tourist visa. They secure their entry visa first from the Philippine Post abroad. So kumukuha po sila ng visa sa consulate or embassy natin abroad, which is under the DFA. There they are vetted and then they pass through immigration. Pag kumpleto po ang documents, pinapapasok po natin. Doon po pala nagkakatalo kasi itong mga to, doon sa intention.
Okay.
When they arrive here in the Philippines, despite having complete documents, apparently these guys have a different intention of going here in the Philippines, not for tourism purposes, but actually to work here illegally.
Okay.
Nasaan na po itong mga nahuli po natin mga Chinese national dito po sa raid sa multinational village sa Parañaque?
Yes, ito po mga arrested sa ating detention center po in Bicutan, Taguig, inside Bagong Diwa. Doon po sila mag-stay until matapos po yung deportation case filed against them.
And what happens po next? Deportation na pagka napatunayan po na illegal po sila na naka-stay dito sa Pilipinas?
Yes, once matapos yung deportation case,
nawawala po kayo.
And then, hello?
Yes, go ahead
po. Kunin po natin yung travel documents sa kanilang embassy. And then we will also check kung meron local case here in the kung pending local case here in the Philippines and then implement the deportation. Actually, parang a few weeks ago, we were able to deport a big group of Chinese nationals. Ito naman po yung mga narinig ng pasok doon sa previous raid nila.
Ayun, so regarding this raid, no, matagal nyo na po ba tinitignan yung establishment na yan? Nagkaroon kasi kayo ng information about this. And of course, are you looking at other areas na may possible na same kind of operations?
Yes, ito po kasi nanggaling sa information na natanggap natin, no, na may mga illegal aliens po dyan na nagtatrabaho ng walang tamang documentation. Kaya po nagkaroon ng arrest doon sa area. But we're not limiting ourselves to this area kasi marami pa po tayong natatanggap na report of illegal aliens inside Metro Manila that might be operating yung mga ganito pong uri ng establishment. That's why we are calling on requesting din the assistance of local government units if they see or get information about illegal aliens in their areas. Kasi yan po ang nakakakita talaga since they are in charge of the permits and everything. They report it to us po para immediately matutugunan po natin at mahuhuli po yung mga illegal aliens.
Opo. Doon po sa report natin kanina, no, sinabi nga po nung ilang local officials doon na hindi daw po nakipag-coordinate dito po sa raid na ginawa. Ano po ba ang standard operating procedure po pagka ganyan?
Yes, not necessarily naman po na kailangan mag-coordinate with officials, but normally po we coordinate with police. So from my understanding po, this arrest was coordinated with the local police then. Most of our arrests is either the intelligence units in the area, the local agencies, or the police.
Kasi usually, pagka ganyan talagang close-knit yung mga dapat kasama dyan sa raid dahil baka mag-leak eh. Tama po?
True. Tama po.
Alright, so what else can we do po no, para mapigilan nga itong ganitong illegal na operations? Kasi sabi nyo nga po, there are still certain areas na kayo po ay minomonitor nyo po no, dahil nga po dito sa mga nire-report na illegal foreigners here sa atin. So, what else can we do para po maiwasan na po itong ganitong mga pagkakataon? O, illegal operations.
Yung atin po sigurong contribution at Filipinos to the thing that we can do is anyone, any foreign national that might be involved in illegal activities here in the Philippines, kahit pa po may proper visa yan, may asawang Filipino, permanent residence dito. If they still have violations sa mga batas natin, then we can report it to immigration. We have a helpline that it goes directly to the Office of the Commissioner. You can visit po facebook.com/immigration.helpline.ph. You can send your information there para maibato po natin sa ating intelligence officers at maimbestigahan at mahuli po yung mga illegal aliens doon sa area. Pagpa-plug na rin po ako if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
We also have our service caravan today in Batangas City in Pontefino Hotel. So if there are foreign nationals there who wish to avail of expedited immigration services, or yung mga kababayan po natin if they have reports on illegal aliens in the area, meron po silang irereklamo na foreign nationals, meron po silang alam na mga illegal po na mga foreign nationals daan sa paligid nila, they can proceed po to our service caravan and report it po doon sa help desk.
Oo. Very quick na lang po, ma'am, meron po ba dyan po sa inyong on your end na gagawin ng mga tweaks or gagawing stricter implementation sa Bureau of Immigration?
So far po in place po yung ating strict formalities both for arrivals and departures. But we are focusing siguro our attention on foreign nationals who are here in the country that might be doing illegal activities. Po natin ngayon with different government agencies and
ayun, nawawala.
Po natin yung investigation and arrest.
Alright.
Hello?
Yes po.
We got that.
We got that naman po. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa Immigration Spokesperson, Dana Sandoval.
Salamat po at magandang umaga.
Alright, don't go away because we're not done yet. May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Happy Thursday! Oo.
So, yung mga tao naghahanap ng kanilang, ang tawag dito, yung mga audience natin, viewers natin, nagtatanong kung ano yung number one.
Dalawa pa tayo.
Dalawa pa.
Relax lang. Panoorin mo muna kung ano number 2.
Oo, ano ba?
Kasi kung ano yung number 2, yun ang hindi number 1. Okay, let's go! On our second spot, the ongoing controversial case of suspended Mayor Alice Guo. Senators conducted a closed-door executive session as part of their ongoing investigation into the mayor. Representatives of various agencies attended the session, including from the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC. The session was closed door to maintain the confidentiality of the testimonies of invited resource persons. After the session, Senator Risa Ontiveros said she and other senators became even more convinced that Guo is not a Filipino citizen. She adds that more of her fellow lawmakers now believe that it's time for a nationwide ban on pogos.
Ilang taon na itong problema ang mga pogos mula pa ng panahon ni Duterte. Ang dami-daming masasamang epektong dinulot. Napako yung mga pangako nung simula na na-excite ang iba na magdudulot daw ng economic gains. Di naman nangyari yun.
Although not invited, Guo in a statement maintains that she is not a protector of pogo. She also insisted that she has nothing to do with murder, prostitution, human trafficking, love scams, money laundering, or any cybercrimes.
Kasi may mga nakabinbin na batas, 'di ba? Sa Congress at saka sa Senate na pag-ban nga dito sa mga pogos.
Actually, panahon pa ni President Duterte, he already stated that he was against pogos. Hindi daw nila alam bakit hindi nagawa ng paraan.
No, may mga statement siya na actually supporting.
Oo, no, but bandang dulo.
Because nga daw maraming mga economic activities dito.
Inamin niya yun.
At maraming jobs opportunity.
Pero bandang dulo, he was already saying na sa mga nakikita niya, hindi na siguro worth it magkaroon ng ganito. Tapos yung morality daw ng mga Pilipino ay bumababa daw. He was on record saying that ng bandang dulo na nasunod-sunod na yung mga kidnapping, yung mga incidents.
Yung mga crime-related.
Crime-related, oo.
Ewan ko. Pero yun nga, to sinabi nga ni Senator Risa Ontiveros na wag na antayin sana nga yung batas at mag-declare na lang, 'di ba, sa National Security Council na national threat na ang pogo. Dahil itong sunod-sunod according nga sa
China nga ban, dito hindi.
Oo, 'di ba? According nga sa PAOK, sinabi ni Sir Winston Casio kanina, 4 pa lang sa 400 pogo sa tinitignan nila yung kanilang nasisilip na at na-raid. 400 marami yan. Maraming lugar. Okay, sige, sa mga nag-aabang, ano bang ating top 1 for today? Staying strong at the top spot is the West Philippine Sea. The U.S. Coast Guard will deploy more of their troops in the West Philippine Sea to support our country in upholding our sovereign rights. Meanwhile, a maritime expert said our success in the West Philippine Sea dispute should not be only measured by avoiding war. Here's the report.
The Philippine Coast Guard, Japan Coast Guard, and United States Coast Guard had a meeting during the International Institute for Strategic Studies Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore last week. The three Coast Guard maintained their allyship and renewed their commitment to keeping the West Philippine Sea safe and secured. The U.S. Coast Guard said they will deploy their North Pacific Coast Guard in the West Philippine Sea. This aims to support the PCG's effort in upholding our country's sovereign rights. Meanwhile, the Japan Coast Guard wants to conduct more personnel exchanges to create a robust network of Coast Guard counterparts. These statements came after the reports of China harassing Filipino troops stationed at BRP Sierra Madre. The armed forces of the Philippines also refuted China's claims of Filipino soldiers pointing their gun at China Coast Guard. In the ASEAN Forum in Samal Island, Davao del Norte, PCG Commandant Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan defended the soldiers carrying guns at BRP Sierra Madre.
We use our firearms only to protect ourselves and in certain cases to effect compliance to rules. But foremost, it is to protect ourselves. Those are more self-defense tools. And foremost, we are a humanitarian service. So we don't hurt anyone.
Solicitor General Maynardo Guevara maintained that tensions in the West Philippine Sea should de-escalate and not lead to war. However, he admitted that diplomatic means might not be enough in addressing the territorial disputes.
We do not foreclose the possibility that if this situation will worsen and we do not get the result that we desire, then we will have to explore other options than diplomatic. So for now, we are not making any public announcements as to what these options are.
In an interview with The Big Story, maritime security expert Ray Powell said our country's success should not be only measured by avoiding war.
It's not only about avoiding war, and if you cast things only in terms of peace or war, then you sort of play right into their hands because they're trying to intimidate you by convincing you that the only outcome of this is war, when actually there are a myriad outcomes.
For News 5, Bril Montalvo, We Are One News.
Actually, sinabi ni Ray Powell right from yung war playbook, di ba? Just because you're saying na you're avoiding war doesn't mean you can avoid war. Sometimes ang may reverse effect yan. Yung bully, and then bullying a smaller nation na nag-avoid ng war, nakikita ng bully hindi lumalaban to. And then little by little, they're employing a different kind of war, a different kind of warfare. And then the time will come, pag nakita nila medyo beaten down na yung moral, tsaka yung pag-iisip ng kalaban nila, then they will employ other tactics already. So it's a form of war also. Pero hindi nakikita ng weaker nation ginagawa ito. And the Chinese have written many, aside from the Japanese, mga war playbooks that have been successful. So kailangan, we can avoid war, but we can also remain firm. There's a difference between being passive and firm.
At saka consistent.
Yes.
Diba? Dapat
firm
consistent.
and consistent. Not passive and diba?
Oo. Ang problema kasi yung consistency natin I mean, every administration, naiiba kasi nga yung foreign policy. But right now, yun nga, di ba? Medyo matapang tayo. Which is the right way.
Huwag na tayo lumayo. Even within the administration, sometimes may inconsistency of messaging.
Yes.
So that's what they want to happen, yung mga Chinese, di ba?
Pero yun nga ang narrative kasi ng mga Chinese, gusto nila bilateral lang ang pag-uusap. By doing this, ito yung pagdagdag ng mga troops dito sa West Philippines, si US troops feeling ko mag-e-escalate na naman ito. But yun nga, syempre hopefully at the end of the day, lagi naman natin sinasabi, doon pa rin tayo sa peaceful resolution.
Alright, and with that, I'd like to leave a quote for all our people sa West Philippine Sea, Coast Guard, Marines, and fishermen. It's not the strength of the body that counts, but the strength of the spirit. Remain strong. A quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. He is Angelo Casa III. We are One News, all sides, all the time.